Good morning, everyone. So today morning, I'm going to share some of my research results on public perception about biotechnology. Actually, well, as I said yesterday during the Asian Biotech Conference, my major field of research is really I was concentrating on consumer behavior towards biotechnology. Actually, I do cover bioethics and I also have a bioethics class which is considered a promotion subject for the university students, but probably another time. But today I'm going to share about this area. Okay. I think everybody have heard about biotechnology. Have you heard of it, about biotechnology?
Yes.
Have you heard? Yes. It's one of the latest technology of the 21st century. So because of that, I think you have heard about genomic, human editing, stem cells, biobank, what else? Cloning. Those are the technology of the 21st century. Of course, when scientists develop this technique, they have because of their huge potential for humankind, it's either for food security or to cure many serious diseases that have no cures yet. So this modern biotechnology has huge potential for the benefit of mankind. So, but what is the problem then? Yeah? Because this technology has been developed, I think, just in the last 10 to 15 years, and it has progressed very, very rapidly. So, I think the public somehow maybe it is too complex for the public to understand. What is GMO? What is GM food? What is stem cell? Okay? For the scientists, no problem. But for the public, even for the academic who is not in the science sector, then we have problem. What do they know about cloning? Probably is what they see in the movie. Only the bad image of cloning and so on. So because of that, there's a lot of fears because of the too rapid progress in this area. But then, as I said, we can't blame the people. As I said, if the people are not ready, the people have no knowledge, I think it's the duty of the scientists to share their knowledge and everything to the public, not just to keep it to themselves. Yeah? And also, the government sector also, which involved in the public regulation, they have to carry more public awareness projects. So because of that, the main controversy, because of, as I said, there is a wide gap between the scientists and also the public, how they think and about this biotechnology, including to the scientists. It's just another experiment, another research for them in the lab. Humans are being treated as having a good intelligence compared to other human beings. We like to create, we like to innovate. We like to improve everything on our life. We are almost never happy whatever that we have around us. We like to improve everything. Okay? But for the public, maybe they have a different way of looking at things. No? Is it really necessary, all the things? Yeah? Is it natural or not? Can we control? Do we have a choice whether we want to use it, whether you want to eat it or you don't want to eat it? Some people prefer the natural product such as organic. Some people don't mind about GM food, but then there should be a choice. Are the food label or not? Yeah? So because of that, there are a lot of controversy there. The scientists feel that they are the expert, they are the most knowledgeable, so they are the clever ones, you know. So as for they think that the public are too ignorant. Yeah, to the government. Why you don't want to accept GM food? Why do you don't want to accept this biotechnology product? It's so good for you. We have tested it out. It has been proven safe. We have carried out the risk assessment. So why there are so many NGOs want to ban this GM product? Why? Okay? As I said, there are a lot of disparity there. So as I said, because risk perception normally is governed by the norm, the value system of the people, their culture, could be their religious perception. Yeah? So I want to share with you some of my findings. I did quite a number of surveys on different types of biotechnology products. Next picture. So these are some of the survey on the awareness, knowledge, and general attitude. So as you can see there, the delicate scale is from 1 to 7. As you can see there, the awareness level is quite low. Below the midpoint value is 4, so it's below 4 there. And into 0.1 is slightly better, it's higher there above the midpoint. Into 0.12 is considered much higher there. Okay? So there has been an increase of awareness throughout the years. Knowledge again, there's a slight increase there, 4.70 into 0.04, 5.31 into 0.09, and into 0.02, more or less almost the same here. Do the public have confidence on the key actors, the scientists, industries, and government? It looks like quite moderate, above the midpoint, 0.04 there, it's also moderate here. Do the people feel that the technology have positive impact on their life? Yeah? So it's also quite moderate there, slightly above the midpoint, 0.04. Same here. When you ask them about religiosity, do the Malaysians claim they are religious or not? No matter what religion they are, be they Muslim, be they the Buddhist, be they the Christian, be they the Hindus, everyone claim that they are highly religious there. 6 out of 7 is considered as highly religious. It's what the public claim. Next please. Okay, this is some survey on some products of biotechnology. GM palm oil. I think the scientists have been trying to modify the palm oil because it has quite a high proportion of saturated fat. Because the scientists, according to the medical researchers, the saturated fat is not good for our heart. So because of that, scientists are trying to reduce the saturated fat content of the palm oil, but still at the research stage. I think GM and Amin, they have contained the ingredient from human already in the market. I think the diabetes patient have been using it. The GM fibrine, most likely other one, I'm not sure the one in Korea, but in my country, most likely the GM soybean are already there because we import our soybean mostly from the US, Canada, so on. So this GM soybean mostly is either being engineered with herbicide-resistant gene, or sometimes they are being inserted with insecticide-resistant genes, and sometimes they are inserted a few genes in there. We call it stack gene. So we ask the opinion of the public. Familiarity is considered low, below the midpoint value of 4. They feel that they are not familiar about this GM product. But however, they still feel it moderately beneficial there, about the midpoint value of 4. There is, but somehow they are cautious, even though they feel it has the benefits, it also has its moderate risk there. Whether the risks are acceptable is about the risk there. If the risk is higher, the acceptance is slightly lower compared to when the risk is lower, it's the opposite part. When it comes to the moral concern, those that involve interspecies or interkingdom gene transfer, that means you transfer the gene from different kingdom, for example from human to bacteria, in this case, or in this case from bacteria to this one is from bacteria to plant. Yeah? So it is perceived as having a higher moral concern compared to modification that does not involve any transfer. the palm oil has just been, the genome are been modified without any gene transfer from any other organism or kingdom. So the encouragement again follow with the moral and ethics. If the moral concern is low, if the perceived benefit is high, then the product is being highly supported. The highest end, number one, the GM palm oil, because it does not involve any modification, any transfer of genes from other organisms. And second is followed by GM insulin. Why? Because it is perceived as having great benefit for people. It is very important for the people with diabetes. But for the GM farming, it's perceived as having less benefit compared to the product. Why? Because GM farming has been engineered with herbicide-resistant gene. The benefit actually is more for the farmers, not so much for the consumers. Yeah? So next slide, please. Then a few more applications. This one is GM rice, which contains carrot gene. It's the golden rice. I think it's now in the process of getting approval. But maybe soon it's going to be on our table, the golden rice, which contains the carrot gene in order to increase the vitamin A content. It has a great potential to reduce the deficiency level of vitamin A, especially in the poor country. And for the Malaysian and for the Arab, we love the nasi biryani rice. Probably we don't have to put saffron anymore. It will be interesting. Okay, some scientists is modeling this, give it a try in the lab to put some gene into the rice to increase the vitamin C content. And another one actually with the latest technology, even the genes such as the animal gene actually can just be produced in the lab and then transferred into the plant without taking it from the actual animal. So we would like to see whether if we make it in the lab will be more acceptable by the public or not. So again, familiarity is low, below the midpoint of 4. Perceived benefit, as I say, when it involves same species gene transfer is perceived as the most benefit. It's one from carrot to rice, but when involved interspecies gene transfer from animal to plant, the benefit is being perceived as lower. The same thing here, because even though it's synthetic, still there's a transfer of gene there. The risk is the opposite. When the benefit is perceived as highest, then the risk is perceived as lowest. Yeah, the opposite of risk. Here I added the factor religious acceptance instead of the moral concern, because in our earlier survey we found that the people claim they are very religious. So we would like to see whether there is any difference or not when we ask them about the moral concern or acceptance from their religious point of view. So we found out here, this one has less issue with religion because only involve plant-to-plant gene transfer. But when it involves animal-to-plant gene transfer, it has a problem there. The ranking is much below that, the midpoint of 4.0. This one is slightly more acceptable because the source of gene is being met in the lab. So the encouragement will follow. It has the highest moral religious acceptance, it has the highest risk, it has the lowest risk, highest benefit, lowest risk, the most familiar, then it becomes the most encouraged. Yeah. Next slide, please, Eric. Okay, some more application. This is modification of animals. Yeah, we would like to see whether there is a difference there. So I think GM salmon, we are already eating it. Yeah, most of the salmon have been modified, where it has been inserted the gene from the wild salmon, so that the salmon can grow bigger, so that we can have our more salmon meat and become cheaper. It's already in our table. Then chicken egg actually can be added with cow's albumin gene in order to increase the acid amino protein content and mother's milk. We know that most mothers nowadays are working. To have the problem if they go to the milk formula, it will be interesting if we can produce mother's milk in sheep, right? Yeah. So instead of giving the cow's milk to the baby, maybe we are giving the milk that is produced in the cow, a sheep that contain the mother's milk, the human mother's milk. That will be great, right? Okay. This one is again. If that has a problem, what happens is it produce the human memory gene, we just produce it in the lab and transfer into the sheep. We would like to see whether it will be more acceptable. Familiarity is again low, all below 4. Benefits, as you can see here, salmon to salmon is perceived as highest benefit. This one also because chicken to GM, chicken cow to chicken, animal to animal, slightly lower than that but higher than this. But when human gene to sheep is being perceived as the least benefit and the highest risk there. And religious acceptance is very low because even though it has a potential benefits, but to evolve the transfer of human gene into animal, so it's not acceptable at least for the moment, for the nation. So the encouragement will follow. If the religious acceptance is high, if the benefit is high and the risk is low, and it's perceived as familiar, then it will be highly encouraged. Next, please. Next. Oh, no, okay, already. In some other applications, you also ask the public about biobanking, embryonic stem cell, adult stem cell, xenotransplant, GM editing biodiesels. This again, mostly the public claim that the benefits are there, above 4. The perceived risk, some, this one is considered as high because it might impact, possible impact to the environment. Xenotransplant because the organ are being produced in animal, it has an issue there. The adult stem cell is more perceived as some risk, but it's more acceptable. It's within the more moderate range. If they perceive as having some risk there, even though benefits are there, it's being acknowledged as having some risk also. As for the moral concern, the highest is xenotransplant because it involves the production of human organ in animal. At the moment, it is perceived as highest moral concern. When asked about the religion, the most acceptable is biobanking, but the embryonic stem cell, it has issues here. Because of that, there is an in-depth studies on the religious aspect. I think it has been discussed also during ABC. So the encouragement again goes. The benefit is high, the risk is low, the moral concern is low, the religious acceptance is high, then the encouragement is the highest. Next please. I will do some modeling to see what are the factors that actually predict or influence the public perception towards this bioenergy product. So these are all the variable or factors or predictors. These are what we call it as the general factors. Written natural order, whether we see here that genetic modification, written natural order, the need for labeling, confidence on regulation, patenting need, societal value, whether they are inclined to materials or inclined to nature. So then we have the general performance and motion, and this one is the most specific one that I mentioned just now. Religious acceptance, familiarity, benefit, risk, and encouragement. So when we have all these factors together, you can see that this one is for the acceptance of genetically modified salmon. So this is paper, it has been published. If you are interested, can have a look. It's available online. So religious acceptance is the most important predictor that it has the highest association with encouragement. Then only come the risk and benefit. So because of that, the people in a country where they claim they are religious, actually we have to look at their religious perspective, probably their values, their fatwa and so on, because otherwise the product will have a problem there. Next please. This is another model that the experience of willingness to pay for biobanking. In this case, there is the issue of data specimen and protection. I think it's been covered a lot in the ABC just now. It's the highest predictor as well as the benefit there. Because biobank it has a lot of potential for its benefit, for in order to detect, especially for personalized medicine in the future. So it's perceived as the most important predictor, but still religious acceptance is still significant there, but this two is the highest. The rest is about the same, it's more like an intermediate predictors there. Next please. Okay, then the development of attitude towards embryonic stem cell is again there. When in this case, the religious acceptance is again become one of the most important measures with benefit, because when we take the cell from the embryo, then it is actually a sensitive issue that needs to have a clearance from the religious perspective. Because it's quite sensitive in order to get the stem cell from the embryo there. Okay, next please. So, the conclusion is actually the acceptance of GMO's product are determined by the balancing of the various factors that I mentioned. But if the product is perceived as more familiar, has clear benefit to the consumers, lower moral concern and more acceptable by the public religious perspective, then it is more encouraged or acceptable. So perceived benefits, it looks like become a precondition. It must have a clear benefit to the consumers, but religious acceptability is some sort of a veto. If you have problem with religion, then in a country where religion plays an important role, will be a no-no. So whether you like it or not, it has to be considered. So if not, then it could be the possibility of the rejection of the product. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much. The next one, these are all the papers have been published here. If you are interested, you can just download that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So we have time for discussion. Thank you for all your work on public opinion. Do you think his public opinions would be similar in your own country?
Yeah, in our country, it's a matter of public opinion.
Okay, please make a comment here. Your country, we don't know the video, Bangladesh. It's similar?
Not similar, but some. Not similar, but sometimes it creates some effect on government policies and non-government policies. Sometimes the government decision, public opinion goes to the against. That's sometimes government need to change the decision. Maybe you heard our latest energy station. Its name is Sundarban, near the Sundarban. So Sundarban is a big forest. UNESCO providing some all sorts of support. So it's a challenge for this forest. If government establish this energy, then the forest will destroy. So this is the scenario. So public opinion is against the government. So government is still thinking what they will do for this at the next step. So this is the factor. That's why this type of situation public opinion works. So sometimes public opinion influence the government decision, non-government decision, even individual decisions also.
Yes, Arina?
I was wondering when you identified perspectives, why you left out a physiological perspective. For example, when you're changing a product, say fluoridating the water, the drinking water. Now the physiological perspective will tell you that fluoride helps children in keeping good dental hygiene, and for the growing children. But for old people, it makes the bones brittle, and then they're more likely to break rather than being flexible. Now that is a huge difference. And I'm just sort of wondering that needs to be discussed as well. Is it good for children? If you're going to fluoride drinking water, you are medicating the whole population instead of target population. And wouldn't it be better to target children up to the age of where it's positive and then not? So I'm just sort of wondering why no physiological perspectives were put down with your UGMs.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Actually, because I said I'm just glancing through because I have carried out many, I got a lot of research data. If you go through the detail of each of the paper, actually when we carry out the survey, we give the introduction. What are these products? Is about for example, golden rice. What it has been transferred from what? What are the potentials? What are the critics said? What are something like disability? Then only we give the whole scenario to the public. We just don't just ask like that. We give them some brief introduction to the product. Then only because we assume that in a country where awareness is considered low, we have to give them some information, but not too much. We don't want them to be biased. We give a neutral introduction as what we know today. We know that it has the potential of benefits like this, but there has been critiques about possible risk, for example, to the environment. So we give them the whole scenario, then only they answer the question. And also it will be good, as you said, to go to the younger generation. I think there has been some survey
but this is my point.
Pardon?
This is my point, that it should be for the whole population to know the differences. Now, with many examples like vitamin A increase in golden rice.
Yeah.
Now, golden rice is more expensive, it's more targeted, it's run by business. Now, there are some people in the population that need extra vitamin A, others may have enough vitamin A, so they might be again to tell the population, whether, if these sort of target people need vitamin A, they can have extra capsules. It doesn't have to be in all of the rice that everybody eats.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, that was my idea. It is like a broad exchange of ideas. So why not on your list also have some biological perspective?
Actually, we do have in the intro.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just judging from your talk, actually.
Yeah, actually, I did because I'm just glancing through the results. Yeah, I didn't go into detail. Yeah.
It's okay.
No, normally, the earlier stage, if I go through one product, then I go into the detail. Actually, during the early stage, when we carry out the survey, we give them the introduction. What is the product like? What is being introduced? put what are the benefits, what is are the users, what are the possible risks, we tell them. And if they have any queries, they can ask us, then we clarify. But when we explain, we have to be neutral. We don't want to be biased. Otherwise,
It's okay. Yeah, I wasn't leading any bias. Being, more neutral.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't want to take any more time.
Because there's a lot of data there. I couldn't afford to do it.
It's okay. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Sorry, ma'am. Thank you.
Can you show me the completion of your second completion between the biotech product? This one. That one. This one.
Yeah.
The
Golden rice, yes.
One slide before that. Yes. Here, you see, it was shown here the difference between the perception of the general people between the different types of the GM food, and one has insulin and this one. You have shown here the perceive of benefit and perceive of risks. Almost similar, perceive of the benefit, people's perception of benefit and perception of the risk is almost similar. Your presentation gave me impression that it is a very good work to understand the public perception. So, do you have any comparison between the perception of benefit and perception of the risk? Because it is almost similar. And my second question is, if you have done the difference between the benefit and risk perception, is it significant? It is scientifically significant, the difference? This is the second question.
Okay. But usually this one is not a comparison between the journal. Result is my own data. We get the data from the research firm. Yeah, the result is we publish it in journal. It's not a content analysis of journal, but it's our real data which we collected from the publish. And we see that even though you see all above 4, but there are differences there. I think 4.7, 4.4, 4.8. I think you can see a clear difference there, and the benefits also. That's why I rank it 1, 2, 3. This one is the highest, 2 is slightly in the middle, 3 is the lowest. 1 is the highest risk there, 2, 3. But for this product, you cannot compare it as whether it's significant or not, but the mid score are different. Very significant or not, we look at the models just now. Do you want to remember I show you the models? For example, like this. So when we use the data, we develop a structural equation modeling where they have a software for that. We enter all the data there. We would like to identify what is the most important factor that influence public perception. If the association, this one is the association level, if it's high, then it is the most important factor that predict or influence encouragement. So you can see that religious acceptance 0.42, perceived risk is 0.27, and perceived benefit is 0.12. In the case of GM salmon, religious acceptance is the most important factor, followed by the risk. If the risk is low, meaning more acceptable. If the risk is high, the benefit is high, then positive means direct association, negative means the opposite association. Yeah? So we can only carry out this. We cannot compare each product using ANOVA or MANOVA because the system, but we can compare across demographic variables. but not across the product. So there's a software at the moment cannot do it. But we can do a SAM, but this structural equation modeling I was using AMOS, it has the limitation because last time we were using the earlier version, it cannot accept nominal data. So it has to be in the Likert. So probably later on it will be interesting, but at the moment from this we can see what is the most prominent. So it is we wish have a direct association means it is very important. So like in this case, it's indirect. It only affects this specific factor. It doesn't have a direct association with the encouragement. I think it's okay, or maybe later I can.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Firuza, please.
May I tell something about the relation of the public to the GM issues in Tajikistan? More than 10 years we have been participated in this project. First it was the project which was funded by UNEP on the creation of framework, something concept of framework biotechnology and biosafety in Tajikistan. And until nowadays, no any control laboratories in Tajikistan to know that's the level of the GM in the products. So we have adopted legislation that we have a law on the GM, on biosafety, but it's only on the table as a paper. It does not work. And for example, 10 years ago, I was absolutely rejected from GM because I have think that it has more negative impacts to the human health than positive. But now the situation is rather different. The market is full of GM products without any control. So the farmers, they have bring to Uzbekistan as GM agricultural seeds, food product, etc., without any control. So this is our reality. And we should to make some very strong control system in order to protect our new generation. That is the question, and that's why, for example, in Tajikistan, the public are negatively, and the reaction of the public is negative to GM. But in reality, we have a lot of these products, and that's why, so the situation is very serious, and it should to be changed. Not only our relation to GM, because the progress you could not stop. So the technologies are developed. That's why, and the people should to have enough food. But the system of controls to detect the possible level of GM in the product should be strong. That's why the situation.
Just one thing I want to add on. Basically, this is the big challenge in Bangladesh also, and I think it's India also. The uses of pesticide for agricultural sector, it is uncontrollable. We don't have any process or government control. So farmers are using this type of pesticide like agricultural chemical medicine. So it's my feelings and opinion. I think Shamima Appa will agree with me that there are new diseases are coming from this using this sectors of product.
Yeah.
People are suffering different type of disease, and the frequency of disease is very high because of this type of product. Because farmers are using this pesticides in agriculture sector frequently, and it's a big bunch of things. So it's a big challenge for new world and new society and upcoming the new generation. I think it's my opinion. It's a big challenge, especially in Bangladesh. I have not seen the other countries.
Well, yeah, globally.
Throughout the world.
Globally.
Okay, and for Very just comment. I think all I can say is the government regulators as well as the academic have to work harder in order to set up the regulation. In Malaysia, we have the Biosafety Act, which has already been implemented sometime. And so far, it has been for each product that has been brought into the country legally. What I'm saying legally, it has to be submitted to the Biosafety Board. It will be looked at by there are several committee members. They will look at all the reports on the risk assessment and so on. Then only it will be approved. That one, as I say, is the legal one. The illegal one, we cannot say. And the Labelling Act also has been approved by the Ministry of Health, but this one has a problem. I don't know what happened. It has been approved by the Cabinet, but it has not been implemented. So we have no way of knowing whether the one that we eat is GM or not at the moment. That might take some time also. But in the case of GM Aedes mosquito, the public reaction does help. Yeah, I think you have heard about the trial, the limited trial, the release of GM Aedes mosquito at Bentong Pahang, because the public reaction is very strong. They only conducted the first trial, but after that it was stopped. The next one was not carried out. That one because there are strong voice from the public. Yes, it does help. I'm not saying that the GM product is bad. It's just that we would like to see a proper regulatory body monitoring the product, and the consumers must have a choice whether they want to eat it or not. Some may just want to eat natural organic food, it's their right. So that's all. So it's the same thing I would ask in Bangladesh. You all, academics, must work together with the government and also probably with the help of the other bodies like UNESCO and so on. I think there is another one on biosafety. It gap or something, must get them help, and you have to strengthen the biosafety regulation in your country. I think we as academic must have our responsibility.
It is a CBD and Cartagena Protocol on biosafety.
CBD.
Under the CBD. This Convention on Biological Diversity.
But the one is optional.
Yes.
Yeah, the one is optional. The country that signed it have to abide, but it's not. There's no penalty if you don't follow. But if you have your Biosafety Act in your country, there will be penalties. So it's important to have the Biosafety Act into.
We have, but it's not work.
So somehow you have to make it work. I don't know, probably the government regulatory body maybe you have to work along with them. What's lacking? Do they lack the expertise? Then you have to train them. You can call all the various people conducting workshops. Yeah, you have to, as we as academics have our responsibilities. Of course, sometimes the government think that they don't have enough people, they don't understand. Also, some others are just, have a degree of management, they don't understand what is GMOs. So we must have more dialogue with them and let them know the importance of making it work. I think it's our responsibility as an academician.
In most of the countries, NGOs are, if they are powerful, they can promote and they can work against these.
It's a finance.
Yeah, see, it's a matter of understanding and the interest on the humanity. Now we talk about population on one side, food production on the other side, nutrition on the other side. So various things are going on, but what is needed for the community should be the target, that should be the major purpose of the whatever things. The another important thing is when you go for biosafety or the modified organism or whatever, we should have enough data to show that it is not against the human health or in favor of it. So we need some sort of data, long-standing, long duration, scientific data proved so that we can convince the people, including the administration.
Yes, that's also another point. Firuzah, maybe you can carry out some studies what are the public perception. If they want the government to control, to what extent is the control, you get all this data and give it to the government. This is what the public wants. Maybe you can more wise there. I think that's another option. And you can bring, of course, the NGOs also in. They have a stronger one. I think that's also a good option. Sometimes we have to do that, right?
I would like to add to Samnayang on that. For example, in the state we had a corn which is very sweet and it doesn't have its original taste. So let's say next generation will do not know the taste of corn if the GMO product is increasing day by day because it has been made with corn and sugar cane, been crushed. So the taste of corn is very sweet. So it hampers the original taste of the corn. And another thing, for example, we used to have 10, 12 mango trees in our home previously. And in the month of July, after the first rainfall, even though the mangoes are ripe, after the rainfall only we have the mangoes. Otherwise we don't, because we wait for a rainfall before having a mango. So that was a tradition at the time, and still people follow this. When people don't buy the mangoes before the first rain in the month of summer, and there's time for having a mango. So I think these are the tradition which has been previously followed by our ancestors to avoid some of the problems that we had with the food.
That means the GM food or the technology, new technology, that is breaking our tradition.
Yeah. Hope that will not overcome our tradition, and hope this will only use for commercial market or for a time being. But let's not GMO food. We need the taste, the original taste of the food, which we need to
It's a
have.
matter of nutrition too, because after the rain it's much more nutritious than before.
Yeah. And still we have like unseasonal fruits we found, which has been stored in cooler places, which are sold before the season comes.
Yes.
There has been concern on that. I think if I'm not mistaken, the country which are very proud of corn, is it Mexico? The country which has a different varieties of
Yes,
corn.
the center of origin is Mexico.
If I'm not mistaken, Mexico is quite reluctant to grow GM corn because they have their different varieties that they would like to preserve. So I said, it's up to the people and the country. They have to decide for themselves. We cannot impose. They have to make their own choice. If you feel that your people prefer the organic corn, you have enough no problem of food security, then it's your own choice. Because the people have to make the choice together with the government and really the government. As I said, that's my comment. Yeah.
May I make some else?
Yes.
About also the impact to the agriculture. We are one of the center of the origin, for example, for some fruits and cereals, and we can lost our native species. You know, this is a big business, and the farmers they brought to Tajikistan the new species, GM species, which are more intensive, and they give a lot of yield, of course, but the negative thing is that we are losing our gene bank, how to say, of our native crops and the fruits also. This is a big challenge and a big question, very serious for
Very
such
serious.
agricultural countries.
Extremely serious because of climate change, and the environment's going to be different. GMs may not be able to.
Nobody make research on the impact to the human health of this intensive
and other animals.
I think there have been some studies on most of the commercialized product. There has been risk assessment studies. I think quite extensive, but there has been also a concern because most of the risk assessment was carried out by the producer themselves. Also, there has been limited studies by independents. I think there are a lot of data in the internet. Perhaps if you can have a project or one of your students can work on that to compile the data on the risk assessment, whatever product that you have in your country. You can some picture that. In fact, we can know whether the risk assessment is being carried out by the producer or being carried out by independent scientists. So that's all that I can say.
And one thing is that when it is the research is carried out by the research grant from the industry that have influence or there have conflict of interest as well. Because they also the research result it also written in that way that it has a good effect.
Well, there has been critics concerned on that, but right, the researcher or scientist must have integrity to report what is the right thing. So I have no comments on that. But as researchers, you must report what do you have, you know. When as producers, I think they have responsibility also because they are also eating the same product as what we are eating. So only, but then as I said, they have been concerned because they have invested billions and millions of money. So of course they would like to see their products on the market. But at the same time, they also have their social responsibility. And then to the people in the world, because the product is feeding the people all over the world. As I said, the risk assessment processes are there, it has been carried out. So the only thing that we can do is maybe to sit down and analyze the people in your country. The data are there actually, and maybe there's someone to sit down and analyze. But sometimes there has been concern that the risk assessment data actually is quite huge, sometimes file out there, whether the assessors have time or not to read, or they just read the summary, so there has been concern on that, so I don't know lah. So as I said, the monitoring bodies, the regulatory body is very important. It must be strong in your country and look at the possible risks, and if the data should be okay, then leave it to the people. You have to label it. If the people have a choice, then all I can say. You cannot say no to GM product, it's already there. Yeah. So there's no way that you can get rid of it. So you only have to be informed and make a choice. That's all, an informed choice. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's an excellent presentation. And the origin of these two products and the sharing by eating will be revealed later. These are from a mere participant.
No,
These are
no,
natural. And the farmer who grew it is sitting in our room. Thank you very much.
Is he holding the fruit?
No, he's not. He's another farmer.
Another one.
Another farmer.
The persimmon in our country, the shapes are different.
I see. Well, we're going to talk about persimmons this afternoon.
Later.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to have lunch now.